Retirement is not for the weak. Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and today I'm going to talk about the Armed Forces Retirement Home. And before you click away, I want to say that there is one eligibility requirement that you probably should be keeping in mind, even if this particular option isn't something you're interested in. Get oriented. The Armed Forces Retirement Home refers to two facilities that provide housing to military retirees and veterans, one in Washington, D.C., and the other in Gulfport, Mississippi. Now, the thing that is odd to me is that these facilities are not operated by the Veterans Administration. Instead, the Chief Operating Officer of the Armed Forces Retirement Homes is appointed by the Secretary of Defense. But the facilities themselves are managed by a separate federal agency under the executive branch with the unimaginative name of the Armed Forces Retirement Home Agency. What that means is that if you start dealing with the Armed Forces Retirement Home, you're going to be adding one more federal agency to the constellation of agencies providing you benefits. In a second, I'll go through all the eligibility requirements, but there is one in particular that caught my eye and one that I think you should be taking into consideration of your own retirement plans. That is, at the time of admission, applicants must be able to live independently. That means that they have to be able to take care of their personal needs, they have to be able to attend a central dining facility, and they have to be able to keep their own medical appointments. If increased health care is required after a person becomes a resident, well then long-term care and assisted living, those are available at both facilities. The point being that you have to make the decision to move into one of these facilities before you really need the sophisticated services that they provide. Now, as you would expect, U.S. Code sets down a number of eligibility criteria, but there's a practical reality to keep in mind. There are a limited number of units, something just under 900, and since someone can stay a resident for life, that means that there aren't a whole bunch of vacancies every year. Okay, so if you look carefully at these eligibility requirements, the thing you're going to notice is that the Chief Operating Officer has significant latitude to make decisions to ensure that the most deserving applicants get accepted. Broadly speaking, the first eligibility requirement is that at least half of a person's service was not commissioned service, that is, other than warrant or limited duty officer. The retirement home is essentially intended for enlisted. Then a person can qualify either by having served 20 or more years of active service, be suffering from a service-connected disability as determined by the Chief Operating Officer, having served in a time of war declared by Congress, or been eligible for hostile fire pay, subject to the rules of the Chief Operating Officer, served in a woman's component before 1948, again subject to the Chief Operating Officer's rules, or be a reservist enrolled in a qualified health plan that is acceptable, you guessed it, to the Chief Operating Officer. My point with the sarcasm is that just being eligible probably is not going to be enough to secure you a slot. You're going to have to jump through some additional hoops. In fact, U.S. Code sets up some barriers to admission when it comes to people with felony convictions, discharges under other than honorable conditions, substance abuse, or mental health issues. And with all of that, the big question is probably, is it worth it? Well, from what I can tell, the facility seems nice. Maybe it's not idyllic, but residents can come and go as they please. They can have their own car. They can pay to have their spouse live with them. They can't have pets, but there's 3 meals a day and a number of enrichment activities, not to mention wellness clinics. And to reinforce that positive perception, I'll tell you that when I reached out to the public relations folks, telling them that I was doing this video, I got nothing. Not even the usual polite brush off. That makes me think that they spend a lot more time saying no to applicants rather than saying yes, or to put it another way, that quite frankly, a lot of people think that the Armed Forces home would be a nice place to retire. But that also suggests to me that there's a very specific person for whom the question, is it worth it, is answered with yes. That is someone with very, very low income. Some eligible veteran or retiree who would not have a nice place to live if it were not for the Armed Forces retirement home. And the reason I say this is because of the way that the resident fees are calculated. Residents are charged a percentage of their gross income from a calendar year with some caps. For folks who live independently, the rates start at 46.7% of gross income, that's pre-tax income, and they rise to 70% for people who require long-term care or memory support. And these residence fees are based on a wide array of income sources, including both taxable and non-taxable sources. Things like DFAST payments, VA compensation, Social Security, survivor benefit payments, rental income, and just about anything that the IRS taxes. There are some exclusions, like the capital gains on the sale of a home, but all in all, the Armed Forces retirement home seems to be the best deal for people who are most in need. So, at the end of the day, where does this leave us? Well, the Armed Forces retirement home is an intriguing benefit for a small group of beneficiaries. If you're interested, be prepared for some paperwork, probably some probing questions, and almost certainly a long wait. But my takeaway is about the broader question of moving into a retirement facility that provides increasing levels of care. I'm starting to realize that this is an important issue, but I don't even really know how to think about it or go about learning what I need to learn. So if some of you have insights into this particular part of the journey, I would love to hear your comments.